We're in Invercargill, and I am catching up with Rory Mcilwrick. Isn't he Mcilwrick? I always butcher it.
It's Mcilwrick. If I was knighted, I'd be called Sir Ilric. So the MC just stands for son of Ilric. So, yeah.
I knew this was going to be a random conversation.
Yeah, certainly.
So Ilric, and then put a Mick in front of it.
Yeah, Mcilwrick, MC, just the M small c.
Right, and we've had a lesson there and everything.
There we go.
Firstly, welcome back to Campbell's Comments, mate, and congratulations on breaking 200 wins not that long ago. I think that was an awesome effort, mate, so well done for that for a start.
Always great to be on Campbell's Comments, and 200, it's a good goal to kick home, and it was a great day.
I don't get you on enough. I had you on the other day talking ice creams, which was incredibly random, but that's what I expect. But I think it was Teddy Disco back at Grand Prix Day nearly a year and a half ago, where I was a couple of the boys said to me, go and have a chat with you, it'll be a good chat. To the extent I nearly thought Zach and Timmy might have been half setting me up. But, mate, you got a hell of a story to tell, haven't you?
Yeah, look, I'm a bit of a deep thinker, so it's one of those things I can spit out a bit of a yarn, so, yeah.
Where did the story start? Where did it start? Because McIllick, which I just butchered, it's not a name that I have to butcher anywhere else. I mean, you're the one and only that I know of. Yeah. So how'd you start in the industry? Yeah,
look, it's pretty simple. Some people say I came on a bike, I walked, I came by train. I ended up at Mark Purden's there after a wee bit of convincing, and yeah, after that it just sort of went from there. So I sort of started at the top and got a wee bit spoilt with the quality of horses to work with, but was able to learn a lot. And from there, went to places like Crandall Geddes and Robert Dunn's, and then made my way down south and through Nathan Williamson's, Kirk Larson's, popped over to Aussie to John Caldo's, and then came back to Nathan's, helped out a few people like Amber Hoffman and Graham Anderson, and then went over and helped out Jeff and Jude Knight, Marty Denton in there at some stage. So I've been around the world in 21 days, and it's been really good.
You're a journeyman of the industry, but I think the great story is you're not like a family. It's you've come from outside of it. And I think that's one thing that, as an industry, I think we need to celebrate, because we need more people that come from the outside. You had no horse knowledge really at all when you walked into Mark's, is that correct? No horse knowledge. I was about 100 metres away from the nearest horse when he asked me to so did he ask you to come in, did you? Or?
No, when I first got there on the first day,
yep.
I was just mucking out a box, and I was very tentative to get behind a horse, that's for sure. So a person like that now I'd probably have a bit of a laugh at, but it was one of those things. Soon got used to it, and got a couple of swishes from the other boys for just sitting out and watching track work when I was meant to be mucking out the boxes. But it was really good.
But you obviously worked it well, because they wouldn't have kept you around if you didn't. How long did you stay at Mark's for?
I was at Mark's full time for about 2 years, and I was going before as a kid at school for about a year and a half or so. So yeah. I was there for a wee while, and he's a great man to learn off, and the whole team there. Blair was there at the time, and so it was one of those sort of environments where you're working with excellence, and that's all they do. So it's what you get a bit used to, and it's a great goalpost to set yourself from the start.
Picking up boxes. So when you went in there, did you want to be a driver? Like, did you want to be a trainer, or did you have any desire, or was it just like, I might see if I can get a job here?
It was really no idea. I didn't have any idea. I'm super competitive, so it doesn't matter what I would have done. I would have ended up heading that way, whether it was driving or training. It's just one of those things that stood out to me, and underway we got. But it took a fair while for me to get my first drive. I still remember it to this day. I barely could see through the helmet, and the helmet was everywhere. And Grant Payne, he was Mark's foreman, and I think he was in partnership with Mark at the time, and I think they put me on a bloody good horse. Like, it was Cullen, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was a very good horse that it turned out to be, but he was the quietest horse on the stable, so it was one of these things. I look back now and it's very cool.
Did they encourage you to drive it, or did was it?
I think it was probably a Saturday and everybody wanted to go home, and they needed one horse to go in front of the baby, so I think he was just coming back into work, and it felt like I was going about 300 miles an hour, but we were probably going halves in 20.
And you remember it too, don't
Oh,
you?
for sure. I remember the
you.
helmet. I remember the helmet. Yeah, it was a red helmet. So I remember just not being able to see and thinking, this is unreal. I'm like on a rocket ship or something.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So was that it? That was what spurred it on from that time.
Oh.
And obviously on Saturday, like, did you charge into work on Monday thinking, can I have another one?
Oh, well, I didn't dare ask because it was just a privilege to get to drive one. I was very reserved in that regard, just kept working away and things came round as they came round as they needed someone. So, yeah, just progressed from there, really, very slowly. It wasn't a rapid, I'm driving, this is what I'm doing. It was take what you get, and I'm just a kid from school who mucks out the boxes.
Did they guide you? You got the guidance and the direction?
Yeah, I think it was one of those things that sort of was guiding over time. They just gradually, you learnt. There are people along the way, I think, further down the road that really guided me from there. At that point, it was just, you're just a young fella, and if we need you, we need you, and you're just learning the ropes and doing the groundwork at that stage.
Probably, to be fair, too, the guys that were pointing stuff out, they're probably pointing out as much as what other people were later on.
Yeah.
But it's too hard to comprehend, isn't it? When you're just like, oh, I'm going to get another drive. So you're just saying, right, which horse am I driving? They're trying to tell you what to do, and it sort of just goes in and out. Would that be fair?
Dead right.
Yeah.
And you know, there are people like James Hornbrook and Brett Cousins, a couple young fellas there who probably led the way with the early learning in those basic steps early on. So I probably got a lot to thank by them, and you know, plenty of banter with those boys. Learned a wee bit too. So yeah,
you're not bad on the banter. We just got off course. So, like, when did you get your first trial? Like, did you trial drive at all with Marks, or do you know?
No. So I'm pretty ambitious. So you've sort of got to look around and see where the opportunities are. And you know, if you look at Cran has got an amazing reputation in developing people. You know, obviously they generally come from champion families as well prior, but he's still got Dexter Dunn, Mark Jones, and he had, I think Peter Jones drove for him before that. But he's certainly given the young fellas an opportunity, and if they go on with it, then they hit the big time. So I was looking around and in my mind thinking, well, I was swinging for the fence for sure, and so I thought that's the place to go.
Your golf game?
Yeah, exactly. It hits the fence a bit. And I ended up being there at the same time as Jack Trainer, and you know, Cran gave me a huge amount of opportunity in my trials. He gave me hundreds of trial drives and guide. Well, look, Kevy Turnbull was probably my main guidance. He's a great man. He was a bit of banter there, but still, I probably hadn't found my teacher at that stage, in that regard. But opportunity at the trials and just the general people around and getting that feel out there. So, Cran, he's a great man, I think, to start out, and I mean, if you get that opportunity, he's the king, but you probably need to come there with a bit more preparation. And Jack was there, and he was going to be number one.
And
so
he's still a super prepared person, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. He's got all of that, and you know, they're around decks and things like that when they start out. So you get a good guide of what they needed to do, and that's what Jack's done, and he's done unbelievably well. So
you got some fabulous names you've been rattling off there. Like we could do probably 10 of these, I reckon, going forward. So who was it? When did someone, like, who took you under their wing, or who did?
It's pretty easy, I would say. Really, Nathan Williamson, he was sort of just beginning, so it was more boutique-y at that time. Adam Sanderson had worked for him for a brief time, and then I'd come through there, and Nathan just had, say, up to 12 horses. Just a small number. So, you know, the banter was pretty high. He was just starting out, and so we were, you know, I was allowed to learn by fire. And so I could banter at him, and he would certainly have enough energy to banter back at me, and that really helped me. That's the way I learned. That grew me for sure. And that's the way that I think Phil and Maddie and Brad all sort of learnt, is their way. And so really it was Nathan who is pretty much 100% the guy. I probably wouldn't be here still driving if he hadn't been in that situation. And then it's not necessarily the opportunities, although he gave me a huge amount, because there were other people down the road who gave me a lot of opportunities as well. But if I didn't have him to teach me, even though I didn't listen to him a lot of the time, until now, things come back and I go, oh, you're probably right, Nath, but it might take 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a great teacher when you had the small team.
We're going to go back to how do you learn? I learn. I'm an observer. Anything that I try to watch. I mean, that's how I started this. But other people are, they've got to do it. Other people got to be told it, and probably. Do you understand how you, do you understand how you work? Rory works.
I think Rory works in a way where, with practical things like this, I think with instruction initially and a good coach, and then doing. Yep. I think with that specific learning and it laid out in a good manner and just the right feedback at the right time just to correct yourself by someone you respect. And I think that's the key thing, is that when learning, I learn by doing, but I also learn by teachers who I respect, and you've got to respect them. If you think that you know more than them, even if you don't, I find that I can't learn anything.
Is that potentially, nothing against anyone that was at Purdon's, and including Mark and even Crans, what happened with Nathan? You said there before about that banter. So you were in a happy place in a way, a little bit, you were there in a happy place, but you also got that respect because you had to, he would banter. So the pair of yous clicked. It's not necessarily that Nathan's a better teacher than any of those guys, but the pair of yous actually clicked, and probably at the right time of your career was probably the right timing as well.
I think it's timing. There are a lot of these great trainers, drivers. If you're in that right situation, you have that right connection with them, you're going to learn because they're going to put that into you. But it's having the right person who's going to do that and click with you. Those people are great, but sometimes the very best sports people aren't the best people to teach you. And he's that sort of guy. He's in that situation. He would fight, and that's obviously how he was brought up. That he would say, "Oh, what are you thinking?" and all this sort of thing. And he was in that stage in his career too, where he had the energy to have those conversations, because we could disagree for a week. And then I could go, yeah, you're right. The week later,
and he copped that because you probably done the same with Matty and Brad.
Exactly, and Phil's horrific. Yeah, he's the best at it. He's very hard to beat in a conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, I think one of the things I want to point out to people is, one, you don't have family background. You've been a journeyman, and you are the true harness racing journeyman. I don't care what anyone says. And you've been to some of the best, and I love Nathan. He's probably not. He's not in the conversation when you talk about Crandall Geddes and Mark Purtons. Yeah. But in your life, the influence that he's had, which then for mine is an influence back to our industry, because you're still in it. And this is the one thing that by this interview, I want to make sure people are aware of, because you are a journeyman, you've been to a lot of places. And yet someone just up the road, which wasn't just up the road for you initially, but I mean, he's the person that sort of moulded you and guided you, and got you sort of still standing here after driving 200 winners. I mean, I think that's really cool. So that's one of the points I want to make sure, because we have so many young people in this sport that come into it and they last for 5 years. Some of them last for 10 years, but then they sort of leave. And I try to stop that. And I think your story, that's one of the things that I'm trying to point out to people. And it's just good banter what you just got back to me then, about how you learn. It doesn't mean everyone should go to Nathan Williamson.
No.
Because Nathan won't be for everyone. Mark Purton could be for some people. Crandall Geddes, you just rattled off some of the great names and go from there. Do you remember that first horse? Do you remember when you said, hey, I belong out here? You drive winners. We all drive winners. But do you remember that one time when you said, hey, I can actually cut it with these guys?
I think, unfortunately or fortunately, I've got a good amount of delusion. So combined with competitiveness and being told my whole life that I'm great by my mum, which, bless her, it's the right thing to say, I suppose. The mums do that. First day, you just think I can do this, and I still believe that, I still think that I can be the very best, and it's within me to be that good. So I don't think anyone should be without that confidence, at least internally. You don't have to be out there throwing that around and believing that. But I think if you don't back yourself 100%, then you're in serious trouble. Even if it's delusion, it is far better to have that than to have a lack of confidence. But that's for me. And so that's where my first day, I thought, I can do this.
With the helmet bobbling over your eyes.
Bobbling over my eyes, I can bring it on. Because I am a wee bit over the top competitive, which I've calmed down on. But that's, I have massive belief.
And there's a fine line between that and arrogance, isn't there?
There is. Well, I
And
think
some
it's
people
how
can
you lose.
And some people can perceive it as arrogance, probably. Some people probably listen and say, oh, it's an arrogant answer. But there is a difference, isn't it?
Well, I think that arrogance can come upon that when you believe that you're better than any others, rather than believing that I have the ability to do it. So it's more of a play on who you are rather than being above others, because I don't really believe that I'm above anyone. I just believe that I can compete and to a high level. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that no one else can. So that's sort of how I look at it in an arrogant way, is I think some people can be like, well, I'm better than you and I can just do it, whereas I just believe that I can do it, and I believe that anyone can do it if they really believe in themselves and are driven.
Best horse you've been associated with?
Race day?
Yep. Well, no, it doesn't have to be race day, no.
Yeah. The best horse that I've ever probably been around, that's a real hard one.
Is there a special horse to you then? How's that sound?
Yeah, special horse to me.
I've got him on the hop.
You've really got me on the hop there. There's no one horse that really stands to me. I probably don't. Yeah, I probably don't get too
attached,
and that might just be a me thing, but I've never really. I couldn't tell you a particular horse.
You have a dead set love of the horses. Like I was watching you here today, and I've watched you numerous times. You love horses. You just you don't separate. You don't separate the better ones, or the better ones to you, not necessarily the good ability ones, but you don't seem to separate them then.
I probably separate them on ability. I think the kindness and things like that once again goes back to my mum. So it's just a nature thing in regards to that. When it comes to just having the love for one particular horse, I couldn't pick one. It's like a big ball of one thing, be it the people and the horses, and sometimes the horses come with the people, and it's a funny thing. I couldn't tell you a particular horse, and I've been asked this before, and I've never really had a great answer for you.
Well, you have,
because
there is no difference, and you said there about the people. You actually love the industry.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I live the dream every day. Like my job and my lifestyle is, it's unreal. So yeah, the whole thing's great.
One of the things I try to do, I love to promote, and I love to do promote how great the industry is and everything else like that. I called you there before a journeyman. I want people to stay in the industry. You're rattling off jobs there to me. Like, how many stables do you reckon you've worked at?
Oh, I would say well over 10 to 15, somewhere around there. I wouldn't know exactly. I would say in regards to that is chasing. A lot of that was, I've actually settled in Invercargill, which is pretty good for me, for quite some time. Yet in that period, a lot of that was my junior driver period of just, am I going to get the opportunity, looking at the landscape, understanding you're too low on the pecking order to get the opportunity, so you got to move. It was the same.
Was that told to you though, or was that you?
That's me, because I just look at it and I know. Well, it came to me, and I thought. I remember working at Nathan's, and I was getting, a good amount of winners every year, about 25 or something like that. And I looked around, and I've been there for a wee while, and I thought, I'm not going to do it here. I'm not, because I didn't have the broad range of the length of the country. So then I just winged it, worked for free, went to Graham Anderson's and worked for different places. And then I left Graham's because I wasn't going to get the opportunity that I wanted there fully, and just went everywhere. And I won that premiership, and that was in my mind at that time, that was everything. There's certainly not that way anymore with that drive. The drive there, I couldn't describe it to you. I don't know if I'll ever be driven for something like that.
Do you want to be driven like that again?
I do. It's an interesting one, because that's a sacrifice everything drive. I'm not in the industry. I just want to win a premiership. I think, your health, your family and your friends are so important now, and certainly with my family and friends, that's always going to be number one, and your health. So keeping that to the highest level is, very important to me. I've been very lucky that I've always been really good, but I just find that when it comes in regards to, your family and friends and just the great people. It's irreplaceable. And sometimes when you push for something like that, you have to go everywhere, sacrifice everything. And it's not always, when you stand on top of the mountain, it's a funny thing. You go, oh,
not quite what I was expecting.
not what I was expecting. What I could have done, but yeah.
It's a good answer, and like, as I say, I try to open people's eyes and get people thinking, about what it is. And as I said there at the start, you're an outsider. You walked into Mark Purdon's and asked for a job. Well, Mum, he might have asked Mum, or Mum might have asked you at the vets. Is that correct? Or so there was some sort of crossover with Mum?
Oh, my mum worked as a nurse, and she called the first time to Mark, and Mark said there wasn't a job. And then the second time we called through, I said, Mum, give me the phone, I'll sell this an absolute treat, because I was just finished working at the market, so I'm a sales king. I said, Mark, hey mates, I rolled my R's back then, so it's just Rory Mcilwrick here, just wondering, any chance I can work at your place? I'm happy to work for free. I was there in a second, and that's where it all started.
So how do we keep people in this game? How do we tell people, like, I mean, I've just been at a 3-day carnival, five day, 3 race meeting carnival that is outstanding. I love it. I love the people, and I love the industry. And I think this industry is better than a lot of people will accept. I think, and there'll be people turn around and say to me, even after this conversation, but how do we get outside people? How do we get the next Rorys to come? But not only to come, take that journeyman role if you want, or stay at Nathan's and get your 25 winners every year for 10 years. How as an industry do we constantly get people from outside? Because I can ask anyone, I'm giving you time to think, don't worry, but I can ask anyone. I could go to Phil and ask the same question. He'll have a different answer, because their lifers, their family, they are about it. Is there a way that you can see that we, as an industry and as a sport, that we can encourage more people to be a part of it?
I think continuing to create that environment where, you feel like family, you feel like friends. That's certainly what I had with the Williamsons, which is something that definitely helped. I understand for a lot of people in regards to financially, that is a struggle for a lot of people, because in my situation, I'm single, I don't have any kids. So I'm in a strong situation. I've also been an extremely good saver my entire life, and a lot of the boys will give me crap about this, but compound interest is a great thing. So teach people that young and they can do whatever they like. But it's just, I think a lot of people will have to couple racing with probably a high income job or something to supplement it. And so when you look in that regard, I would also think that you need to make sure that the community is strong, that everybody gets on, that realising that we're a team and we're actually all in this together, and to have fun and laugh together. And when you're out there, it might be war, but as soon as you get off the track, just try and stay calm and enjoy each other's company. I think that's where it really is, Obviously, the connection with the horse is massive. So you've got to have that no matter what. You've got to have the kindness and that nurturing side for the animal side, but then you've also got to be interactive with others as well. So if we can build those areas, community, and just educating people, especially a lot of the younger people who come into it, just because it is a lower income sort of job a lot of the time, unless you're at the top echelon, just how to manage things so that you can enjoy a great life.
Can I point out one thing to anyone who's just listened to that there? No point of time did you say we're going to increase stake money or, less racing and more travel or anything else along those lines. So go back and listen to what he just said, because that's that one thing. This industry, especially here, and I will throw a rock back at Australia, we do not do it as well. I saw young Seth Hill the other day drive his first winner. I was doing interviews. I saw A-grade trainers and drivers waiting to shake his hand, give him a pat on the back and say, well done. So as an industry here in New Zealand, you guys do it, and you do it very, very well. I know Seth's part of the industry, but I don't think that would have mattered to anyone. It was his first win, and people come from everywhere. And that's why I wanted to do this interview, because I'm happy to do happy chats and have fun and talk about strawberry ice cream and all the rest. But I think the industry we need to be aware of what we do have. Don't knock what we don't have, and don't bag, all the time. And that was your answer just then. And that's and we didn't say that, or you didn't know what the questions were I was going to ask.
No.
And I think that's the one thing I believe anyway, that we need to get more people to think the way that you think, and be open and honest about it. I think it's awesome. I think you're refreshing, Rory. I really do. I think you're a breath of fresh air. When the last interview we did, the amount of feedback I had, they're like, do more with him, do more with him. And I'm like, yeah, well, but I don't want to take that away from you either, because I think it is who you are. So I think they're pretty raw answers that you just gave. So it's cool.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's as honest as I can be, that's for sure.
What are your goals in the industry?
My goals in the industry is probably just to continue to build that out with great people, continue to work at quality horses. It's really one of those things.
Not to be a trainer, not to be a driver, you're just happy to continue going as don't take the wrong way, the journeyman.
Yeah, to continue that way. Of course, I want those champion horses and those quality drives and things like that. But I think it's one of those things where you just need to do. It sounds like such a cop out of an answer, but it's sort of like the sports people. You've just got to keep going through the process, keep analysing what you're doing, and do the right things every day. And if it will be, it will be, and if it won't, it won't. But make those adjustments. Be the very best driver you can be. Present yourself the best you can, and hopefully that quality drive comes along. And mainly, I think the one thing that's changed is I would love that quality horse, but you know, obviously you want to have it with those quality people like Wayne Adams or someone, you know, close to home, Karen Owen Lawrence. If you could have a great horse with them and enjoy the ride, I think there's nothing better than that. And even if it's just a country cup horse, I know Carol, you'll hear her from the bleachers screaming and yelling and bouncing around, and they're happy to win a maiden. So you're
happy to drive that maiden?
I'm happy to drive that maiden because it's like winning a cup race, you know. And so those are my goals. And you know, as I say, just you know, I'm a bit of an athlete, so stay fit, well, and able to do this as long as I can.
Mate, thank you. Absolutely love it. We've got a little bit dark, unfortunately, because it's although it's not actually that late over here. It's only 6 o'clock, but for some reason the sun's disappeared and we've gone a little bit. But that's okay. We can handle that. But I really appreciate it, mate. I think well done. 200 wins, and I love your answers there. Hopefully people have enjoyed it. Hopefully you get another 200. And you do get to enjoy it, but I really appreciate that. Had a bit of fun playing golf with you as well, mate, so it was always good fun. But congratulations, and thank you very much for joining me,
Thank you very much, Paul. And yeah, if anyone ever wants to play in golf, I wouldn't be afraid either.
Play me? No, I wouldn't be. That me. That is for sure. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.